Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Zariff bin Muhammad Zaharuddin. So now I will talk about the introduction and background of study. So the first one is introduction. There is an article about the poverty awareness experience in Peninsular Malaysia, which named the poverty of the Malays. This article also about there are many recent explorations have been done to detect the causes of the poverty. The poverty analysis is based on an evaluation of the lower end of the distribution of Malaysian income. We can identify the poverty among Malaysians by look at their income. Ground of study. As we know, Malaysia is a country that is multiracial. This developed country consists of several major races which are Malays, who constitute just over half of Peninsular Malaysia's population, Chinese and also Indians. This large number of races has led to the poverty problems. This poverty occurs because of some factors which are races, as I briefly mentioned before, educational levels, and also household income. For the races, the more people there are, the higher the poverty rate they experience, which can relate with Malay's population. Next, the ranking of communities according to average schooling levels is also different and it can influence the poverty in Peninsular Malaysia.
Now we'll move on to the objective of the study. There are three objectives of the study. The first one is to describe the demographic profiles of Malaysians in Peninsular Malaysia. The second one is to analyze the central tendency of the household income of Malaysians in Peninsular Malaysia. And the last one, to analyze the measure or dispersions of the household income of Malaysians in Peninsular Malaysia. Now we will see the description of data. As you can see, the population are all Malaysian in Peninsular Malaysia. The samples involve 774 Malaysians, and the type of data is secondary data. Now we will move to the description of variables. There are two types of variables. The first one is qualitative and the second one is quantitative. The qualitative involves races and educational levels, meanwhile quantitative is household income. Next, we will move to the method of analysis. To describe the races, we use pie chart. To describe the educational level, we use bar chart. Meanwhile, to describe the household income, we use frequency distributions, histogram, Ogive, mean, moon, and median, skewed distribution, variance, and standard deviations.
Now we're going into the analysis and discussion. There are two qualitative variables. Firstly, we look up to the races. This is the pie chart of Malaysian races living in poverty. From 774 respondents, the majority of respondents are Chinese, which is 470, while 126 of Malaysian races are Malay and 122 are Indian. The least is the number of Malaysian other races living in poverty, which is only 56 respondents. Next is the bar chart of the educational level. From the bar chart, we can say that the primary school is the highest and the university is the lowest. Out of 774 Malaysian respondents, 32.04% of them only receive primary school education, while 9.69% of them are educated up to the secondary school. Other than that, 4.78% of them are highly educated up to university after the secondary school. And lastly, 32.04% of them did not get a formal education or no formal educational level. Next is the table of the Malaysian household income, and this is the table of the frequency distribution. Next, it is a calculation of measures of central tendency. First, mean. This is the formula of the mean, 1287613 over 774, and we get the mean is 1663.58, or we can say that this is the range of Malaysian household income. Next is median. This is the formula of median. L is the lower boundary of median class, N is the total number of observation, F is the cumulative frequency of until midpoint L, and FM is the frequency of median class, and C is the size of the median class. We sum up all of these values and we can get 1421.99. And lastly, for mode, this is the formula of the mode. L we can get by the lower boundary of model class. Model class is the class which has the highest frequency, and delta 1 is 458, delta 2 is 144, and C is 500, and we can get 1379.94 mode. Next is the graph of histogram. From the histogram, mode for the data can be found. Mode from the histogram is the same with the mode from the calculation, which is 1379.9. Next is the graph of the frequency polygon. The first mark on the x-axis is 749.5, which reflects the interval between 500 to 999, and the last mark on the x-axis is 4249.5, which reflects the interval between the 4000 and 4499. So, this is the only data that can be touched by the graph.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Arif. Today I am going to discuss about an analysis of Malaysian household income. So we proceed to Ogive. So we can see the graph of less than Ogive of Malaysia household income. For analysis on the Ogive, there are 655 Malaysian household income below 2,500 ringgit. Next, the percentage of total household income that exceed 3,500 is 5.81%. From the Ogive, we can see the maximum household, so that the total household could receive the Peninsular aid is 1,267 ringgit. Next, we proceed to calculation for measure of dispersion. First, we just calculate the variance. We just use the formula that given in the slide, and the variance is 398,494.82 ringgit. Next, for standard deviation, we just use the formula that given. They just square root the value of variance, and the value of standard deviation is 631.26 ringgit. After that, we proceed to skewed distribution. We can see the figures show skewed distribution of Malaysian household income. You can say that this distribution is skewed because one side of the graph does not mirror the other side. It is called positively skewed distribution because it is skewed to the right or to have positive skewness, where most of the data values are on the left of the mean and accumulate at the lower end of the distribution. As a result, distribution for Malaysian total household income in Peninsular Malaysia is positively skewed distribution because mode is lower than median. Next, we proceed to calculation of coefficient of variation and skewness. So the coefficient of variation we calculate in percent. So we use the formula that given, and the value of coefficient of variation is 37.95%. Last but not the least, we calculate the percent coefficient of skewness. So we just use the formula that given, and the value of percent coefficient of skewness is 1.148. So this is the positively skewness.
In conclusion, the study had taken a total of 774 Malaysians in Peninsular Malaysia. The simple conclusion is most household income of Malaysians in Peninsular Malaysia are 1,379 ringgit and 90 cents, and the majority of the respondents who live in poverty in 1983 are Chinese. This is because of the redress of racial economic imbalances, which makes it a necessary condition for maintaining harmony in this multiracial society. The poverty alleviation, which defies ethnic group, is also an essential condition for the preservation of national unity. As a recommendation, there are still some weaknesses that researchers are aware of. Firstly, this research does not include clearly about their backgrounds, which can affect the data they have collected and for the further studies. This is because of the backgrounds, which includes their sex, age and level of education, may be different and will affect the job demands, so it is difficult to continue this research as it cannot be a valid justification for further studies. This project basically is too general as it only refers to their races and not their backgrounds. Hence, the upcoming studies should be carried out in some settings to get a clearer and more specific data. For example, the researchers must provide a feedback form that requires their backgrounds and details in order to get an exact and right analysis of Malaysian household income in Peninsular Malaysia. So that is all from us. Thank you. Assalamualaikum.